I just wanted to set a perspective, because some of you said different things about identifying need or connector or bringing people together, whatever it is. So here's a little story just to kind of think about. Just think about even like your morning. I don't see anybody with a coffee cup, so nobody stopped at like a Starbucks or a City Brew. But what if you did?
Wait a minute.
Wait. Oh, what if the person at the coffee shop always has a super big smile, greets you, and is friendly, but little did you know he actually is a meth addict and homeless and trying to get his act together? What about for those of us that dropped our kids off at school yesterday or today, and we see probably 95% of them going back and there's 50 brand new expensive shoes and their clothes, and then you see a couple other children that maybe look like they probably didn't even get a shower this week, and they're probably been very hungry all summer long because they haven't had access to food, and their mother is struggling and working 2 jobs and trying to make ends meet. You know, there's people at a grocery store, right, that we look at and we just don't know what their story might be. And so anyway, this is not new, but I saw a little meme a week or so ago, and it was talking about that we're all in the same storm together, but we're not in the same boat. So think about it. Some people, we could be in this storm, some could be drowning, some might be in a canoe, some might be on a yacht, right? And having customized food delivered to them, right? We all still might be in this crazy storm of life, but think about that we're in different spaces. We're not all in the same boat, and we don't all come from the same perspective. And sometimes I think it's easy for those of us, I'm not making any broad assumptions, I'm talking about me, coming from a place of privilege, like how lucky for things that I take for granted when I stop and get a coffee, or I run in to do whatever, or can go buy a pair of shoes for my grandkids or whatever, and not think twice about it. But really what United Way is all about is that gap in between, in that storm. And that's what we love and enjoy doing, and we can't do it without corporate participation. And that's where that sweet spot kind of comes, whether it's painting or picking up trash, chainsawing, whatever. It's a whole community effort to improve Yellowstone County. So I just wanted to say thanks and just kind of set that tone, and just, you know, that's a great message that you can share with your employees as we start campaigning about that we're all in the same storm but not the same boat, and it really drives perspective. Anyway, so let's just cruise right along. I'm not going to read all of our slides, but just a reminder, this is the epitome of what United Way does. We do anything to make basically our community or the world a better place. Primarily focused on children, but also mental health, access to health, anything to get people out of poverty, drugs, and domestic violence. And what we're best at, and I know for some of you that have been involved with us for a while, this is repetitive info, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. What makes United Way really good at what we do is that we know our community. We know how to bring people together, we can scale projects, and we can serve folks both upstream and downstream. And I want to talk about what that means together, just quickly about our programs and services. So this, in very simple terms, on this slide, this is what United Way does. We do 3 things. We raise a ton of money with the help and cooperation and support of our community to then distribute it in the form of a variety of grants, either to partner agencies, to other nonprofits, our emergency food and shelter program for individual relief for housing and utility assistance. We run some of our own programs. That's what a lot of the flyers out on the table were there that you can pick up. And we run coalitions. So the granting and program piece is what we would call downstream. That's for the end user. That is literally helping somebody in crisis, in need, who wants to improve, who needs fill in the blank. That's downstream. Upstream is our coalition. And while that doesn't always sound super sexy. It's probably the most important work that we do because we bring together community members, whether it's other nonprofits, government officials, businesses, to solve something bigger than just ourselves. So the coalitions that United Way backs are Substance Abuse Connect, Continuum of Care, which is everything about healthcare and housing, and Best Beginnings, which also includes the food group. So we coordinate all of the food groups coming together. We certainly do not run their programming, but we've come together and figure out, we all talk to each other now. Hey, I have 10,000 extra cases of whatever, who needs it? Hey, we've got this request, da, da, da. Before it used to be pretty isolated, but sometimes collective impact and community work is where it's at. So that's what we do with the coalitions. Everything that United Way does, we focus on 4 pillars: school readiness, school success, crisis stabilization, and senior independence. If a child is not ready to go into kindergarten for whatever reason, they may not even have transportation, they may not have food, they may not have the clothing, their parents can be homeless, they might be living out of their car but can get their kid to school, but they don't have any books. That's kind of the sort of things that we're looking at. We also provide our Care Academy program, which is our before and after school program at 7 schools, 6 in Billings and 1 in Laurel. And we offer tremendous financial assistance, so we're sure that we can get the kiddos in school ready to learn. School success for us is making sure that kiddos attend school, they turn in their homework, they have aspirations to actually graduate and become a contributing member of society and feel like they have something to give back instead of starting to drain community resources. Because if they're not on track for success, that is where United Way or any of our other nonprofit partners come in. So we work with the school mentoring program, we work with the school district on attendance initiatives. Anything we can do to support reading is a really big deal for us, and getting our graduation rate to increase. Crisis stabilization is everything and anything you can imagine, from immediate needs to long-term. And you name it, we have done it. We're probably most well known for Montana 211, which is our information, resource, and referral arm of United Way. So people hopefully pre-crisis are calling in to say, hey, I think I've got a challenge, or how do I handle my aging parent who I think is going to need some assistance? I know a veteran who is having a mental health crisis. What should I do? How can I help? Blah, blah, blah. We're that resource here in town to refer people to the right agencies that deliver the programming. And senior independence is helping keep seniors in their home as long as they can, and also preventing isolation. And we all know how rough that is. So anyway, that's United Way in a nutshell. And how we do this is not just our fundraising, but it's by being an investor, advisor, builder, fundraiser, and connector. And you guys can see on the screen really what that's all about. But we are that connector for when needs come. Oftentimes people view United Way as Switzerland, like, hey, can you help us with fill in the blank? And we started actually a diversity, equity, and inclusion gathering among our nonprofit friends, because they don't have the funds to go and figure out how to look through the right lenses to better reach and do the work that needs to be done around that. So sometimes needs just come up. Sometimes a government official might call us and say, hey, this is one of the challenges in our community. Do you think that you can convene somebody, or not somebody, a group of folks, so we can start having these dialogues? So it's not necessarily United Way's personal mission. It is our mission to be responsive to the community, and every day we don't know what might come up. So those are just some examples of more than just being a funding source of what we do. Just to highlight though, the funding piece, in the past 12 years, we've raised and given away more than $4.1 million. And our primary source of fundraising is campaign. So we couldn't do it without the support of you folks. So it's pretty impressive. Our partner agencies, a little over 3.8 million designations, or when an individual gives, but they choose to not have it go to the United Way Community Fund and they pass it right through to another nonprofit. And then EFSP is our emergency food and shelter funds that is raised through campaign. And we'll give one-time grants up to $500 for housing deposits, utility assistance, and food relief if they need that. Or sometimes car repairs. Sometimes people literally have to make choices, right? Between, do I fix my car? Do I not go to work? Or should I buy my medicine or pay my rent? And we all are probably feeling that crunch with inflation right now. For some of us who even have regular forms of income, we're having to make some different choices, right? Sometimes. So that's what United Way is a part of when we're talking about crisis stabilization. While you're here today to serve as an employee campaign coordinator for our campaign, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about all the other things. And this really is just a summary page of what each of you said when we were going around the room. Some of you you probably have had success in the workplace giving campaign, but you've probably had more opportunities with bonding or cohesiveness with your employees when you guys have done a day of caring or a volunteer activity, or you figured out a way to be a voice maybe for somebody even within your own company to try to rally around them and find them resources and use United Way in that manner. And so really you guys are connectors so much more than just helping us run campaign, because your awareness should be heightened about the work that we do, and you can direct people or even your neighbor, community friend, to things that we can provide. So this is what we truly ask of you in an open mind sense of inspiring and empowering your companies as you get ready to help us through this fourth quarter season. Oh, did we skip the investment stuff, or am I out of order? Can you go back for a sec? Was there something, what was right before that one? Oh, okay, fine. We're just gonna keep cruising. Campaign overview. I thought I'd bring you guys and share some of the stats just from last year so you have an idea of where we're at, and hopefully you see that you're part of a bigger picture than just the 7 or 8 of us that are participating today. Last year we had 55 workplace campaigns take place, and that is lower than we've been in the past. We have been up to 75 campaigns per year, and it really depends. We've had 2 funky years like everybody else has, right, with COVID. So hopefully we're going to boost those numbers again. It's just hard to tell where people are at. But of those 55 campaigns, we actually ended up with 108 corporate donations. So even though only 55 ran a true employee giving campaign, a lot of corporations just give a one-time gift that support us, which is very appreciative. Last year in total, between employee pledges and corporate support, $726,000 was raised towards our $730,000 goal, and the rest is community individuals. So our corporate engagement is super important. Here's some fun facts. We had 1,576 employees total participate last year through Everybody's Workplace Giving campaign. Anybody have an idea of what the average gift an employee pledge was or is?
$50.
Nope.
Higher?
Oh yeah. Anybody online want to take a guess? $233, which is impressive. And it's actually, if you do look at $233, if you were looking at that as your average spread out among 52 weeks, it is fairly a manageable amount. But just so you know, we have some folks that pledge thousands and thousands, and we have some that do a one-time gift of $5. And any amount is appreciated, and it all just adds up and totals out. So I just thought I'd share a couple of those stats with you. This is the slide. I must just have myself out of order. One of the most common questions you guys are going to get asked all the time is, if I give $1 to United Way, where did the funds go? And 83% goes back to our community programs. 11% is operating cost and 6% is our fundraising cost. That's a pretty impressive number. I don't know if of your involvement with other charities and if you track these sort of things. This is a public record that is in our 990s, and GuideStar and Candide and other entities, the Better Business Bureau for Charities, they track all this sort of stuff because do you know that charities are allowed to spend up to 35 cents per dollar raised towards admin and overhead? So we are considerably lower. And our 11% for operating is primarily this huge building that we let every nonprofit on this planet use for free. And that's part of our commitment to the community. So, and of course we have some staffing costs, but we're super proud of that 83 cents. People want to know, what does that look like? Another question is, if I give you $1, how much of that has to go to the national office? National dues across the board are 1.5%. So it's super low of what goes out. And that 1.5 is included in that 11% for operating cost. Something else that, in case you all weren't familiar with, just so you know, if you keep in mind the programs that I talked about, upstream, downstream, and how we're involved in the community, for every dollar that we receive through our work, we're able to multiply it this past year almost 3.5 times more. So you can see we had 688,000 that was raised through campaign, but we were able to turn that into $2.4+ million. And you can see some of those dollar highlights. It includes the value of volunteer hours, the in-kind gifts, like for example, Dow prints nearly every single thing for us, and postage. I mean, it's amazing where different support comes from that helps us. Dollars to our partner agencies, matching grants that we were able to apply for and give out. You can see an additional 1.38 million in local community support. That is what one person on our team, our Director of Community Impact, does. He writes federal grants and state grants and is able to garner additional dollars. And most of that is specifically for coalition. So it goes to like drug-free communities, domestic violence prevention, different things along those lines. And we invest almost $600,000 in our Care Academy, the before and after school program for kiddos who need that program. So this is something also I just talk about with a lot of pride, and I hope as you're talking about United Way and the campaign, it's pretty impressive what we're able to do. We're a staff of 10 full-time and 30 part-time. The part-time employees work at our Care Academy, but there's 10 of us here in the building, and we do a lot for the community, but we could not do it without volunteers. So let's dive in really. Oh, I must have a duplicate slide. Okay, I'm so sorry. We're going to dive really into campaign right now. We've got our $1 million goal. That would be fantastic if we can get to it. If whatever we raise is what we then turn around and give away in our partner grants in the spring. So it's very yin and yang, right? Like we raise 500,000, we give away 500,000. We raise $1 million, we give away $1 million. So we really don't know what our investment will be until campaign wraps up, which is pretty cool. I mean, and when you get people more engaged in the community and they start to see the need and they're like, what? I don't know. Family Promise only received a grant of 35,000. I know they need 55,000. Well, help us raise more money so we can give away more, right? So that's kind of where our challenge always is. But as we look at campaign, I want you guys also to think about Day of Caring or Day of Caring in action. Another employee engagement opportunity is Operation Supply and then the community rally. So I want to talk on those for a couple minutes. For those of you that are returning ECCs, many of you mentioned the value of volunteerism and getting your employees engaged. That is probably your best point of entry. You may not even run a campaign this year. You may just want to get your toes wet and do a volunteer project or two, or participate in something that's not campaign related, so that your employees can see the work in action and get a taste of it. Sometimes it is challenging to dive right in and say, hey, we're going to run a workplace giving campaign. And people are like, what is United Way? I don't even know. You can do it all, or you can do one component. So there's no pressure how, there's no right or wrong way in which to do it. But I want to talk about Day of Caring. That will be on September 15th. I'm assuming by this point, most of you have already received at least one email, or you've seen it in our newsletter, or received a hard copy mailer. We've done several different forms of outreach. That is your opportunity to sign up for a project, if you will. It used to only exclusively be on one single day. We have shifted it because we found that not everybody can do it on the second Thursday of the month or the third Thursday. That's our designated day, but you could participate before, you could participate after. You might say the fourth quarter is way too much for us and we'd like to do it in January. That's okay too. But I wanted to highlight what our primary service model is going to be this year, and it's actually a door hanger distribution program that promotes Montana 211 and Code Red. And Code Red is the county emergency number and website that notifies people of crisis in the community. And we learned via the county how few folks are enrolled in that. You know, and when we had the river flooding, right, that's where most information gets out and about. So we need tons of people to canvass getting these door hangers out and about. So it's a good 2.5-hour project that people can go in groups. It's almost like campaigning for a politician, but we're really not doing that. We're not asking you to knock on doors. We're literally hanging it, but we're sharing information about United Way's resources and Code Red. We also we have 2 different opportunities to support St. Vincent de Paul and Salvation Army, and we will do a poverty simulation, and it will end with making sandwiches and sack lunches for each of those entities. The other thing that we'll be hosting is a dementia-friendly overview. And that supports our senior program, so people can go and learn about dementia, and as a caretaker, caregiver, how do you work with somebody maybe in the workplace. And then we'll be making cards and some other stuff for the seniors that will go in their baskets that they get from Big Sky Senior Services and Meals on Wheels and Adult Resource Alliance. So it supports that. Gosh, and we have all of our other standard opportunities too. But those are the couple that I just wanted to highlight. So for those that have you been around for a while, Day of Caring used to be a luncheon, and it traditionally launched our campaign, if you will. We are doing that this year, and it's known as the Community Rally. Some of you have hopefully already received information. If you haven't, there's stuff out on the table, and you can certainly find it on our website. But the Community Rally is, we're changing up Day of Caring, if you will. So the Community Rally, instead of being a luncheon and then having an afternoon service project, it's a little bit backwards. If you're choosing to do your service on that day of, you'll still do it in the afternoon after lunch, and hopefully wrap up between 4 and 4:30 and come back here to the United Way campus, and that will be our celebration. So there'll be food trucks, El Wincho is going to be playing, we have Breakfast Exchange Club pouring beer, that's available for sale. All of our partner agencies who we funded will be here with show and tell. We have activities for kiddos. What else? Mobile
throwing.
axe throwing for some fun. We have
Yard
some yard
games.
games. The whole idea is to let you guys come together, and we'll be running a slideshow then of the different activities that everybody's done. And we're just gonna celebrate a little bit different instead of during the day. So we're hoping people will come out and participate. We actually have a stack of food truck tickets and drink coupons that we'd love to get to you as the ECCs. If you need to want to entice any of your employees for some freebies, you can certainly buy more, but we'll give you a couple that you can have and have a beer on us. We'll also have free soda, popcorn from AMC, Altana, the ice cream truck will be out. Fuddruckers is giving away cookies. So we have a lot of freebie stuff in addition to the opportunity to buy food from the food trucks if you as a company is choosing not to buy them individually. Some companies in the past have chosen to purchase a lunch or the equivalent of a food truck ticket and or a t-shirt for the community rally. That is absolutely an option. It is not mandatory. Some companies we've heard of would rather show up in their own corporate t-shirt so they can see and be seen. Others, it's very important to them to get the United Way shirt of the year. So that's up to you, and we can talk more individually offline, but that's what is happening. And then from September 15th on, we really do dive into campaign. So that's what we're going to spend the rest of our morning chatting about. So most of you know how important the role of an ECC is, and I heard some of you say it's hard work, it's challenging, but it's also fun. I mean, this is your chance to be a leader in your organization and a leader in the community, and it is kind of cool as you're traveling around the community and you're at different events, you'll start to see and hopefully have your own little network of ECC folks. We do try to bring you together so you have that opportunity to connect with each other too. You might choose to want to recruit another person or two, depending on the size of your company, to be on your campaign planning team. And that's a great way to also help upcoming leaders within your organization showcase their leadership skills. So bottom line, we're going to count on you to be the United Way expert on our behalf in whatever capacity that is that you're serving, whether it's just inviting folks to the community rally, whether it's Day of Caring, or literally the workplace giving campaign. So the one thing I just threw in this slide because I didn't want to forget it is, you know, we talk about the workplace giving campaign for existing employees. That really is your group of people that you might be focused on. But we have a number of organizations, primarily the refineries, even CHS out in Laurel, that have a very active retiree program. And they always include them in participating in whatever fun and games they're doing in their Day of Caring service project. It's a way to engage them. I will give kudos to Shields, who does a new hire orientation. So instead of just thinking about running a campaign, say in the fall, and asking your current employees to give, and then the payroll deduction starts January 1, Leslie and Pete at Shields have figured out a way as they onboard new hires throughout the year who may not be here in this last quarter of the year to invite them to consider giving even if they're coming in mid-year. So those are two different ways to think about possibly getting engaged. So now we're going to take a minute and review the campaign guidebook. All of these sort of things can be found online. You also, those of you here in person may have picked up a copy. But our campaign guidebook is meant to be the easiest show and tell that we can do to help you. So we're just going to kind of wander through it. If we can go to the next page, Kelsey. These are our important dates. Here you are at our ECC training. All right. A couple other things, you can read this for yourself, but obviously we've got the community rally. You might note that we have monthly ECC check-ins. Those are not mandatory. They're meant for you to pop in if you have questions or thoughts, or you just want to listen to what other people are doing and garner some ideas. But we're here as a resource in that capacity for you. In mid-October, we're going to have what we're calling the Funded Agency Info Session. So in the past, we've literally gone physically to our partner agencies for a tour. This year, we're bringing them here. So it'll be a bit of a fair, if you will, internally. You're welcome to come yourself or invite any of your other employees that might want to come and learn a little bit more. I'd encourage you to put all these dates on your calendar. I might highlight, we've got the Community Leaders Lunch that will be on March 23rd. We have a Hooligans Community Night on January 23rd. It'll be in the evening. It'll be a half an hour way to say thank you to you as ECCs. Even if your campaign ran in September, we'd love to have you come back and come be social and hang out with us then and whatnot. So that's kind of our campaign calendar. In this guidebook, here is the basics of what will help you have a successful campaign. And generally a campaign will run 2 weeks. Sometimes people will do it for 4. A lot of folks, the refineries choose 6 weeks. They have different touch points. Some folks literally will run it a week. It doesn't matter to us. It's got to be what works best for you guys. But once you decide when you're going to run your campaign, then you're going to want to back it out and follow like these 5 points of setting goals, getting your ducks kind of in a row of how you're going to choose to communicate. Is it an in-person meeting? Is it via email? Is it virtual? We can do it all sorts of different ways. Then there's going to be some helpful hints here with the toolkit that we're going to go to in just a second and more in depth that you will have as resources. And there's some interesting tidbits that you can share with people of how their donation makes an impact and whatnot. And then post-campaign, we're going to ask you to run a couple of reports, make sure that we get connected with you and the payroll department or HR department, whoever's managing that, so that we're in tune with you and whatnot, and we wrap that up.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please do.
Excuse me for interrupting. And maybe it's because I wasn't down in the weeds, maybe like we're going over today, but for whatever reason, I thought, and maybe it's just FI specific or business specific, I always thought like we were on this timeline of 6 weeks, and it started with maybe the day of caring, and then we had to wrap up, because I remember I did the follow-up campaign report and everything, and I felt like someone was emailing me asking for that. And maybe that's because we set our campaign timeline, and so we were being held accountable to that. And if that's the case, fine. But then my second question, is there still the loan associate? Are you getting into that? Like the loan associate that would come from United Way, the on-site coordinator, like LA, for example, would coordinate with the loan associate. They would come and they would give the presentation on behalf of United Way, be that partnership. Is that still what we do?
Yeah, we don't use the term loan associate as much anymore because for whatever reason, people don't love it. But
Okay.
yes, it's our resource development committee or some of our board members would be the ones, or
Okay.
Kelsey or I coming to make that presentation.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's still acceptable and the best practice that you're open to entertaining post-COVID world?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're going to get to that of what a
Okay.
campaign presentation looks
Sounds
like.
great.
But you brought up a couple of good points, and you guys chime in, anybody online or here in the room, if you have questions. United Way used to be massively structured. Here is your kickoff, here is your absolute end, here is exactly what we hope you will do. First of all, the world doesn't work that way any longer, number one. Number two, you guys know your own company better. We're here to provide an outline, and just because we think that campaign is best ran in the fall, doesn't mean you can't run it in the spring if you decide that works better. Just because you might think you should have a 6-week campaign, you may want 12 weeks. I have no idea why, but you might, and you might want a week. Anything in between is absolutely fine. On the average, 2-ish weeks, but it doesn't matter because different people work differently and it depends where your corporate social responsibility is lying, where your upper management is. You might have things lined out because it's also part of either team building or bonding experiences. It might tie in with your own annual meeting or something you're doing with customers. So you have to set it to be your own. This is just suggested.
That helps a lot. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of the very structured environment.
Dowell does it for 2.5 months,
There you go.
which is, I don't know why we do it that long, but it's always.
2 weeks, we would, our staff is great, but in 2 weeks, they still wouldn't have found their form. You know, I mean, we have to give them- we need 2 weeks to hound them before we get the other 2 weeks of responses. That's just, that's what works for us.
Well, and you know, this is, you know, the traditional United Way campaign model that we've known for 60+ years is really based on traditional in-person, face-to-face employee meetings. But you know, life has changed with technology and different giving platforms, and the millennials are not going to spend more than 3 minutes, right? They're either going to do it or they're not. So that's why sometimes people will run a shorter campaign because they're like, yeah, I just want the QR code. I'm going to do it right this second and I want to be done. But you're right. People from my generation would be like, hey, where's my pledge form? Because I want to touch it. I want to feel it. I want to think about it. So we have actually multiple generations that respond differently. So again, we're not going to dictate to you what you should or shouldn't do. We just want it to be open to the possibility, okay?
That's helpful, thank you.
Yeah, all right, let's keep scrolling down. Another thing you're probably gonna wanna do is figure out your donation strategy. First thing would be pledge cards. Do you want physical pledge cards? Do you want an online fillable form? Do you want to literally just drive them to the United Way website where they make a donation? Or, new this year, which is really cool, we can now customize a landing page for companies, and you would then have a QR code that directs your employees right there. So that's when you can put in, our campaign is starting on this date, ending on this date, payroll deductions start on this date, so we can really customize it. That may not be your thing. You may really want hard copy pledge forms, or you may decide you need all 3 variations, and that's okay too. But we also listed the digital options. Some people literally might just want to text in a donation. They may want PayPal. Again, this is at different generations, whereas others are literally gonna take the form home and discuss it with their spouses and come back, and all of it works, trying to be responsive. Then the other thing I would note is third-party processing. And if you, I'm thinking with everybody online, Kelly, do you guys do your own processing, or does iBailey use a third-party processor? I can't remember.
We do our own.
Okay, I think everybody here today does their own. So if you worked with a third-party processor, you would know.
We do.
You guys do, yes. So third-party processing means at some point in life, other for-profit entities have convinced corporate entities that they should work with this go-between. And let us make your campaign as smooth as possible. And normally these are super large companies, so nationwide, they're participating on one platform, and that's what a third-party processor is. So if you know, you know. If not, these are the other ways that you would do it. All right, let's keep cruising through this. I just lost track of time here. I could chat forever about this. There's a page here to set your goals. These things might be important to you. You may just simply have a goal of, I want to survive campaign. Whether I have 3 donors or 3,000 or somewhere in between, that's what's important to us. You though, some of you might be very driven by wanting to get a campaign award. You may want to base your goals on an average gift, percentage of employee participation. You're never going to get 100%, you know, or is it a corporate match that is your drive? Shields did a huge drive last year and matched dollars 2-for-1. Some companies don't have a corporate match. It doesn't matter. It's, you know, or if you have an X% of giving, some companies will be like, great, we're gonna give you a half a day off on whatever Friday before Christmas or something like that. That's where you can set your own goals, okay? Then we've listed some best practices that we're gonna let you read on your own, okay? Here in this section is listed our campaign goals. I'm sorry, our campaign awards. We have several different types. Some companies are very driven by wanting to earn a particular title of whatever award. Some, it does not even matter to. Pick your poison, whatever. If this is important to you, we will help you reach these goals and get these things out there. If it doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter. It's what works for you. We have a ton of frequently asked questions. Most of this we've already touched on about investment of the dollar, where do the funds go, what specifically does the United Way do, when does payroll deduction start, so on and so forth. So that is our campaign guidebook in a nutshell, and you can print it, pick up a hard copy or get an electronic copy always. It lives on our website. What is the next thing we're gonna go? Okay, let's talk about our website. This is the United Way website, and up at the way top, can you scroll, Kelsey? If you go to, under the tab that says Get Involved, and then you'll see the workplace campaign, and this is the page that you'll land on, then this is where Kelsey is, okay? So there's plenty of information here that you can always find, okay? But let's scroll down to the campaign toolkit. So now you need help, you need supplies, you need to know about a presentation. What kind of visual stuff can I share? If you want to just pick a couple, like running your campaign or presentations, we provide all of your resources here. And all of this stuff you can either download, you can email and share with your employees, you can cut and paste, you can make it your own. We provide several different videos. If videos are the way you want to go, maybe you share a video a week during your campaign to highlight some of the work of United Way. You might want the equivalent, might want the PDF of a poster, and that comes with messaging. You're welcome to download and insert any of this. Probably we go up for just a second. Where is the emails that they can download, for examples? Can't remember where we have that.
Forms.
Email templates. Okay, it's under forms. But anyway, if you were to click on email templates, I just want to show you, it'll download into a Word doc. And in that Word doc, we provide 5 different templates for you guys to use. So we don't expect you to completely recreate the wheel. You can do whatever you want. But we provide preview, kickoff, midway through messaging that you might want to send out on behalf of your CEO or whomever is, you know, the figurehead within your organization. You can fill in some of these blanks. We just try to make it as easy as possible for you. We didn't used to do email templates because everything was in person. But for those that work remote, those that never come in the office except one time a month, you may choose that you want an in-person gathering, and we can come and be a part of that, or you may find you have to run a lot of your campaign electronically. And so we just want to make sure that you have all of these resources, okay? What else do we have on here? If you click on fundraising ideas, Kelsey, those of you that are wondering, for example, sometimes companies choose, instead of just asking employees to participate with a pledge, you may or may not choose to do that. You may choose just to do a ton of, quote, events internally that tie in with just your regular staff meetings or whatever the heck. You can raise additional funds, $2 in, $5 in for a chili cook-off, for a raffle, for a lunch with the boss, whatever it might be. You may have bake sales. You You may have pie throwing contests. We've seen it all, dress up or dress down days. Those are additional ways that might work for you as a company that you wanna provide for your employees. And that would be up to each of you of what works for you and whatnot. So there's resources there. There's so many resources. That's why it's all online, so you can go through this at your own pace and kind of start to shape what matters to you. Under the presentation spot, you'll find a slide deck. So if you were to click on that, that's a downloadable PowerPoint. That is our generic presentation that we will certainly customize for any of you if we're coming in person and or if we're doing it online. And then if you click on the example presentation format, it's just a Word document, but that's the actual agenda of what, like you were talking, Kevin, would a loan associate come out, who would come out and maybe make the presentation and help us. This is a generic one. We can customize them. We can make them longer. We can make them shorter. You may choose not just to have somebody from United Way. You guys might have a particular area of focus that, I don't know, around domestic violence, around food insecurity, around senior isolation, and you would want us to invite one of the funded partner agencies to come and talk about what the grants that they've received from us has meant to them. We're happy to fill this out and customize it for you, but you can at least see what it might look like and what resources you have there, okay? Let's go back to the slideshow for a second. Well, actually, you know what, Kelsey, I'm so sorry. Go back to the website because we're gonna end up here anyway. Under the social media tab, this is where we could really use some help. This doesn't take a lot of time and it doesn't cost you a thing. We would love for you, especially as our ECCs, to, if you're on social, to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You could even send out the links to your employees and ask them to like us and help us spread the word, because that's when they're going to see the stuff that's happening when we're profiling different corporate involvement, different individual things, cool things that United Way has done in the community. That's a great way to tell the story. It's a great way for us to be able to then tag back to you all and have collaborative promotions. We have a United Way giving frame that you can click the link to, encourage your employees, if they've given, they may want to put that on to I gave to United Way. And we have a ton of hashtags that you might choose to want to use as well throughout campaigns. So the more you guys do online, the more it helps us too. So we would just encourage you to do that. All right, we're at the hour mark. I'm just going to back out of this, and we're at the point of helpful hints, questions, and comments. So I'm done talking. What questions in maybe the next 5 minutes might you have, or any ideas, questions, concerns that you want to share with the group that you think might be helpful for others to hear? And you might not have any.
Well, I'll share what we have done at the credit union, just high level. We've had, I guess first I'd back up and say, thank you for this presentation. The amount of resources on there is incredible, maybe almost overwhelming, but there's so many options and so many channels and so many methods and so many strategies and ways to reach out and get involved in. I'm excited to see what Ellie takes of this and makes her own and kind of her own brand and her own idea. She takes on this responsibility for this year, partnership with myself and others. But traditionally, and maybe I did the mentality of back when it was all structured, but we would have I think day carrying was our kickoff. We'd run 4 to 6 weeks. We'd do a corporate contribution. We would require everybody to sign their pledge form, that's whether they were going to give or not, and that showed as part of that circle of honor checklist that they were engaged and had an opportunity to see the presentation. You know, we just followed that checklist for Circle of Honor. It was nice to receive the award and recognition, but we also felt that the items in there were important for us to run a successful workplace campaign. So it just always made sense for us to do that. And then we did a variety of fundraisers. Now we've transitioned our dress code to where it's more casual, but back in the day, we used to pay $5 to wear jeans. So we had a couple of those during our workplace campaign. That was always a big hit with everyone. Maybe now it would need to be something like flip-flops or whatever that might look like. We tried a variety of fundraisers. We've done everything from chili cook-offs to book drives to pie in the face to you name it. And those are all great. They create excitement, they create enthusiasm, but we were looking for one that we thought would maybe hit it out of the park better with dollars raised. So we moved towards a TV raffle. We did, a 60-inch, HD TV or whatever, and I go have fun shopping at Walmart and buy it or whatever. And then we promote that, and we vary, but say we do 150 tickets at $20 or whatever. I think that's $3,000 minus the cost of our TV. So there's $2,500 right there, plus $1,000 corporate contribution. There's 35 plus a jeans week or equivalent. There's a couple hundred, and then the rest of it is on the backs of the regular, either a one-time donation or set up with HR for automatic payments. And to your point, or someone's point earlier, I was surprised at that 250 amount. That's great, but we always try to illustrate and demonstrate that we would really love to hit that. I know you said never, but we'd really love to hit that 100% employee contribution. We've been in the 80s and 90s before, it varies, but we make it we always share a demonstration example. If 10 of you contributed, even one time $5 or $5 a paycheck, here's what that difference looks like at our organization and organization-wide. It's tens of thousands of dollars. So your $5 matters. And we demonstrate that, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we get that. So that's what's worked for us. Does it have to be exactly like that? No, but that's what we've done before, which will, I think, influence how we go about it this year. And we're excited to see how this turns out, and appreciate all the different channels and options and resources available online. I think that will be very helpful for our campaign this year.
Well, thank you. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions? Okay, well, I forgot, so thank you, Kelsey. We just pulled this up. This is an example of what a landing page could look like. If you wanted a specific one, we would put your logo here, and you would drive everybody to the website if you wanted to. But what you can see is the equivalent of if you were going to buy a jacket, or what $100 a paycheck would do, so on and so forth. Employees can actually still see it. It's the same information that we have on our paper pledge forms. And then the impact is there. We can customize it however you want, but so people can actually see the funding that we did. And then if you scroll down, Kelsey will just show, and then there's just literally the online pledge card. The beauty of this is that you actually get to be, whoever the ECC is, has a login, and you can download your own reports. That's like a really big deal for us, because we're used to paper copies, and it takes us a while to get it all processed. So it is fantastic that we would be able to you could run real-time reports as well. So hopefully this will be a great tool for you all moving forward if you choose to want to do that. And you can choose, even down at the bottom, you can let us know and we'll build it out. Do you want it to be payroll deduction only? Do you want to allow them to do credit card? Do you, whatever, do you want them to be able to mail in checks? So on and so forth. So anyway, I think that's the last thing I wanted to show you all. I really hope we'll see you on September 15th in some capacity. If nothing else, even if you can't get your company here, come and bring your family. Come have a beer, come walk around and see United Way in action. It's been a rough 2 years, and United Way has been pretty dormant like everybody else, and we're ready to blossom again and to show the community what we've got and what we do. And I think it's going to be a fun night. So did you bring those tickets in? Okay. So, and those of you online, we'll pop some in the mail to you, okay? So that you've got them. I know we gave you a lot of info. So if your brains are full, it should be. Hopefully they're reeling a little bit with the excitement, not overwhelming this. But as we move forward, what will start to happen, you'll either hear from Kelsey or I, we'll split our list up, to be like, hey, how's campaign going? Have you set your dates? Are you gonna even truly run one? Or what can we do? Are you gonna wanna volunteer? Then we can kind of pace ourselves. You're right, like towards the end, right? Like last year, because Kathy had left, and then I was doing a follow-up because Kelsey's predecessor had left. So I'm like, hey, I don't know where you guys really are in your campaign, but then we'll, then we'll help you run it and figure out, do you want in person? Do you want this or that? Do you need something different? Do you want to bring the crew here to United Way for whatever reason? So we will be here to hold your hand and guide you. You're not just thrown out into the world. So know that we're here for you. So we've got the food truck tickets and a beer ticket. So take a couple if you want, at least for yourself or your family. And don't take the
I have a
whole
huge
stack.
family.
Yeah, I know. And they're all 21 or older, right? Anyway, Brett, Leslie, or Kelly online, do you guys have anything else you want to chat about? Otherwise, we'll let you go.